Well, it's Monday morning, and if you're anything like me and my coworkers, you've got nothing done today because you've spent the whole day discussing the 1 million paths to a body in the water that will all need to be tied up in next week's episode. But there's still one that didn't get touched last night that will have to be addressed next week, and I wonder if it's the linchpin to the whole thing, or at least a linchpin. Okay, so to review, first, of course, we have Rick not offing Shpretala's husband, which is going to come back and bite next week. Then we have the Gary Chloe Saxon of it all. I also can't help but wonder if Sam Rockwell will end up being involved in that, given his, proclivities. And of course, the Belinda and Gary of it all. Then we have the gay talk Valentin and his Russian friends, plus Lori now being involved. Plus, I'm just going to say it, I do not trust Mook. Like that whole thing on their date last night where she was like, I kind of liked you better when I thought you were violent. What was that about, ma'am? It kind of seems like she's trying to instigate something. Is she working with the Russian dudes? Plus, did you know that this actress is a member of Blackpink and is sometimes referred to as the Beyonce of Thailand? There is no way Mike White put a star this big in this show for this inconsequential of a role. What does Mook know and when did she know it? Then there's this guy who I don't trust either. Why are you all of a sudden trying to hide in a monastery, brother? Which of course brings us to Daddy Ratliff, who is very obviously planning on offing his entire family with poison protein shakes. Which brings us back to Saxon Ratliff and this thing I found on Reddit, which pointed out that he and one other character are the only ones who did not take the protective bracelets when they arrived on the island. The other of which is Rick, which you'd only know if you were really paying attention to the background. And as we know, everything Mike White does is for a reason, so a lot of people think that he and Saxon are both going to end up in the water next week. But none of that is the one thing that is stuck in my craw, the one thing from this show that has never been explained and still has yet to be revisited. And no, it's not this lady who's kind of disappeared, nor is it this lady who kind of disappeared and then weirdly showed up in the preview for next week's episode. Also weirdly invested in other people's cell phones, but only the Ratliffs. I think that means a thing. No, I'm talking about this. What was this, all the way back in episode 3, actually about? I mean, that scene was so weird, and given that it's the one plot line that cannot easily be traced back to all of these different potential pathways to a body in the water, I'm calling it. Victoria Ratliff and Miss Bobbiana are somehow going to be at the center of whatever goes down next week. Or, it really will just be the monkeys go on a shooting spree. Anyway, what are your theories? Let's argue about it in the comments.